and good morning or good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kathleen Taylor, and I'm with the Nevada Women's Business Center. And I am just so pleased to have a really good friend of mine and a mentor of mine as well, Ms. Brenda Ward. And she is here to talk to us today about the importance of radio show programming, specifically if you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to extend your reach to your audience. She is a pro at this, and I'm just so pleased to have you here today. So thank you so much for being here, Brenda. So let's share with the audience some of your own background, first of all, as an entrepreneur, and then we'll lead into how all this comes together in radio show programming.
First, I'd like to say I'm so delighted to be here. It is wonderful to be able to do a webinar about radio. I've been in radio for approximately 5.5 years,
Yes.
but it didn't start with me working there as one of the radio managers. It started by me having my own program. I am a publishing company, and after I published my clients' books, they kept saying, okay, so now what do we do? Now what do I do?
Sure.
And so one day I was listening to KKVV,
Uh-huh.
and I heard this voice say, call Ed.
Wow, that's amazing.
Well, actually, Fred. It was Fred because
Uh-huh.
Fred was there at the time. Call Fred. And I didn't know a Fred, so I was like, where is this coming from?
Uh-huh.
In the meantime, I looked at, because I was listening to it on the computer
Uh-huh.
at work. And so I looked up at the computer screen and I saw Fred on the side, and it says call if you want a show.
Interesting.
And so I said, oh, okay, I guess that's who I'm supposed to be calling. You know how your subconscious kind of works with you?
Yes, it
So when I
does.
heard that, it was basically, I was thinking about, what am I going to offer my new authors?
Okay.
And so subconsciously, I probably was thinking there's got to be an avenue. So when I heard that call Fred, that was probably my subconscious saying, take the leap, do something different.
Uh-huh.
And so I called, and Fred said, we're expecting you.
Wow.
We have a wonderful time for you. And so please come down Monday. And I did.
That's fantastic.
That was in 2008.
Wow.
And I've been on the air since then.
Excellent.
The program is called Open Book Radio
Okay.
because I was interviewing authors, so open book.
Yes.
And since then, I've extended it to music writers,
Uh-huh.
small businesses,
Excellent. Yes.
and people who are having special events
Uh-huh.
in the community to help the community, because radio is media,
It
and
is.
media should be a community event. They should be able to be involved in what's not just a local or national, but what's going on right there in that community.
Absolutely.
So that's how I started.
I think it's a wonderful journey for you, given that here you are an entrepreneur yourself, and you saw the value, or you were led to see the value and the importance of radio programming. So you're at KKVV Radio 1060 AM. You have a wonderful, strong following. You have two shows. There are times when you co-host or cover a third show, which is amazing in itself. And so from an entrepreneur perspective, if you were a small business owner or any type of business owner, and you're looking at, what is there besides radio advertising? And that's something that's a part of it too. How can I stretch myself to actually look at maybe having my own show to be of service of the community in some capacity, not just through a sale point, but to actually provide that resource to the community. So let's talk about some of the benefits of radio show programming, and we can start with advertising. How do you see that could be a strong vehicle to get someone's name and brand out there in the community?
Well, as you know, in today's society, in order to get your business out there, you have to do what you call branding. That's what you have to start with. Brand, have your website made, have your business cards. Be prepared to go to an event or stand or speak. You have to have that.
You do.
In any type of business.
I agree.
But then the next step would be to advertise.
Yes.
You know that it takes money to do that. So
Right.
you would, deal with your budget and see how much money you have available for marketing yourself.
Right.
And radio is one way that most people don't look at.
Right.
Radio, people will think it's like television, very, very expensive. But radio isn't very, very expensive.
Yes, it's affordable.
It's affordable.
Yes.
And then especially if you're just advertising. You can buy advertisement to sponsor one of the shows that's already being aired. Their sponsorship dollar amount is nowhere near you having your own trying to do that.
Exactly.
So that's one avenue. You can contact a radio station and say, well, I want to do, say, 2 spots every other day.
Yes.
How much would that cost?
Right. Right.
And can that be ran at prime time, which is early in the morning, and then drive time? So there's many ways of advertising without overloading your budget
Yes.
and taking from your pocket and someone else's pocket. But most people do not think of radio, and that's one of the things that they should think of.
I agree. And to that point, in reference to radio, there are different like little segments where you were continuously placing yourself front of mind to the listening audience. So, for example, if you have, let's just say you do have a show, then you have your open promo, which is like a commercial. Then you have maybe, depending upon the length of your show, maybe a break, and then you come on again to talk about your business, your product or service. And then at the end of the radio show, if you have a show, then you have a close promotion too. So you have 3 touches within one program to get your name out there. And that is built into the whole programming for your show. And at the same time, you can also buy, like you said, certain spots throughout the day. And I just find it so wonderful that we have our own show at KKVV 1060 AM. It's called Business Basics BDC. And if it were not for you, Brenda, opening me up to that possibility of, you know what, here's a listenership here. There's a need in the community to enhance a person's knowledge about entrepreneurship and business resources that are quality and free of charge. You can have that platform here, which I find, and it is affordable. It really is, and it's good quality. So with that being said, how has you having your own radio show, and how can advertising help you to establish a customer base on the airwaves?
I'm just so excited that you and your business, the business, have a show on the air, because you just put the spot in there exactly as what I was going to say. When you're sponsoring a show, that's less as far as finances is concerned, because you're only paying for a 30-second, advertisement during that show. And you're exactly right. In the beginning, the person who has the show would say, and this broadcast is sponsored by, and then the 30-second commercial would run,
Yes.
advertising your business. And then again, in between, like if you have a 26-minute show, which is actually 30 minutes, but you have the open and the close, well, right at that halfway mark, you can say, and we just want to honor the sponsor again, and you can run that commercial again.
Yes.
And then towards the end, where we're getting ready to go off the air, but we want you to know that this show has been sponsored by, and you run that 30-second commercial again. So it is so exciting that you understand that.
Yes.
Because most people will say, well, how would I fit in there, and how can I sponsor a show, and is that gonna bring, advertisement to me and customer and clients to me, depending on the show. Like your show, everybody listens to it, so definitely.
So does yours.
And I was just getting ready to
Yes.
say, one of the shows that I have is in the evening time. Not only do we have it on radio, but we Facebook Live the show as well.
Excellent.
And so there's a lot of people who are looking and listening.
Yes.
And so, yes, you want to pick a show that you know that they have a good listener base.
Yes.
And then, approach them and say, I would like to sponsor your show. How much is that to sponsor? Now, remember, when you're sponsoring their show, that show is owned by them and they pay for that airtime.
Yes.
So they may be less expensive than if you came directly to the radio station
Good point. Yes.
and
good
say, I
point.
want to buy advertisement time. That may be a little bit more expensive and not in your budget at this time,
Right.
but in the future it can be. So you want to get a hold of those people who are having shows that are at particular times. I'll give you a little joke. My pastor, he's on the air Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and he comes directly after Charles Stanley.
Oh, wow.
And the reason he does is because he knows everybody listens to Charles Stanley.
Excellent. That's really good strategy.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, he doesn't need the advertisement, but he wants his word to go out, and so he comes directly after Charles Stanley. That made sense.
Yes, it does.
So again, if you find a show that you've tuned into, you really like Business Basics, I wanna sponsor that show because I want to go right during that time, right in the middle. So that's what you do. You listen to airtime and you do that. Remember, radio is media.
Yes,
A
it
lot
is.
of people think that radio is just radio. I turn it on in my car, I'm driving, and no big deal.
Right.
Television is media because you get to hear the newscast or this or that. But radio is media too. So
Absolutely.
much that hosts from the radio station and from certain programs will be asked to come out and speak live, like I'm doing today.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why I'm just so, giddy about bringing this full circle with us.
Yes, exactly. So for those who are thinking about advertising, I think media is one of the ways, and radio is media. I also know that if they do that, it will brand them,
Yes.
because clients, customers, and the consumers who listen to the radio station will now hear that name on a regular basis. And that's one way of advertising your business and getting more customers.
I agree.
Yes, definitely. So that's one of the ways of doing it. That's why radio is so important. Programming, getting that information out there, and especially for entrepreneurs because they're brand new.
Yes.
Like I said, when I started
Yes.
Open Book Radio, it was because my client said, now that my book is published, who's going to know about it? Besides my Facebook page
Right.
and besides my website, unless I give them the address, they don't know.
Sure.
So how will they know? Well, by being interviewed on the radio
Yes.
with your book.
That's powerful.
Yes, and
Very
we stream
influential.
live like you're doing right now, and so I get the chance to hold the book up, and they
Yes.
see the book and they go, "Oh, okay, that's something I want."
Right.
So it's a good opportunity to even think about radio.
Now, speaking of information, how important it is to have quality content for your radio programming or your radio show, or a quality guest, or to prep your guest for the interview, or if you're just going solo sometimes, how important is that prep versus just kind of like doing it improv, so to speak?
It's very, very important.
Yes.
You know that, and
Yes.
I know that. And I will
Absolutely.
say, when you asked me to do this webinar, I said, are you going to have the questions so that I could be prepared to speak on, the webinar?
Yes.
It's very important to do your research.
I agree. It
To
is.
have maybe questions made ahead of time and to go over those questions with your client
Right.
or the person that you're interviewing. And the reason why I say that is with people that I interview who wrote books, of course they wrote the book. But do they remember every paragraph, every chapter? Not really.
Right.
So when I get the book and I skim through the book, depending on how thick it is, I may even read the book.
Right.
And I pick out the questions that I know the audience wants to hear.
That's the key.
That's the key.
Yes.
And then I go back to the client and say, okay, these are the questions I'm going to ask you, so that they are prepared.
Yes.
And they're not saying, well, let me check my book. What chapter did you say that was?
Right.
You see?
Yes.
So research, being totally prepared, having the questions ready is very, very important, because it shows that the show is a professional show.
Right, exactly.
And that's what you want.
Yes, I agree. Now, talking about just professionalism and etiquette, so to speak. I'm not going to name any names, but I've had people that come on the show, and I just assume that even though we're on the radio show and people may not see you, you do have the option of the show being live streamed through KKVV, so you are seen on camera. But regardless of whether or not you're being seen or not, and your voice is being heard, how important it is for someone to dress the part of a professional, or at least business casual, when you come for an interview. Because I've had people roll in through like they just came from the gym, and it was just, okay, let me just kind of adjust and just focus on the content here versus, what I'm seeing here. So even though it's common sense, how important it is to, even though in most times you're not on camera when you're on radio, but how important is it to maintain that professionalism?
I'm smiling because before I, became someone who works for the radio part-time and having my own show, well, actually 2 shows, and like you said, and sometimes 3, I was told a long time ago, professionally, I was a banker for 25 years.
Oh, wow.
And I remember interviewing for a job, and I was in California, and I wanted to come to Las Vegas. And the person says, well, I don't want you to come all the way out here just to interview. I'll interview you over the phone from your home.
Okay.
And I said, oh, okay. And so that particular day that he called, I was casual. I mean, really casual. I was dressed down. And so when the phone rang, I answered the phone. And when you're in a dressed down, casual mode, your whole body is in that mode.
I agree.
Which means your brain,
Yes.
your words that come out of
I
your mouth,
agree.
everything.
Yes.
And so he asked me questions, and I answered them, and I was kind of laid back, sitting on the couch, had my leg up, and I didn't get that job. And so when I called back to ask why, he said, well, the interview wasn't really professional, and it was kind of casual, so I thought maybe you wasn't really interested in the job.
Wow.
Okay? So the next time, because it took me 2 years to come out here,
Oh, okay.
the next time, because I wanted to transfer. I was already with the company, so I wanted to transfer. The next time, I knew what time they were going to call because they told me,
Yes.
which the other people did too. I dressed for the part.
Wow.
I physically dressed for the part.
Yes.
And this time, I'm sitting at a table, which means I'm sitting up.
Right.
And I'm being interviewed. And I was so professional that they hired me on the spot.
Excellent.
Now, he
Excellent.
said, I will never forget it. He said, I'm not supposed to do this, but because you work in a branch that's similar to ours, and you've answered all the questions, and you kind of have an idea of what type of clientele we have, I'm going to tell you that you have the job.
That's amazing.
And so
That's amazing.
I was just so delighted about
Yes.
that. Then they did, they followed the steps, blah, 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 blah. So once I was totally hired, after they followed the steps, he said, how soon can you get here? I said, within 30 days. I can't get there any sooner because I had been waiting for 2 years.
Oh,
Remember,
yes.
I blew the first one.
Right.
And they did, I was a supervisor, so they don't come around that often.
Oh, okay. I understand.
So I said, 30 days. I had already been packed because I was eager to come. So everything was packed. I was just needing the job. And he said, we will hold that job for you because we really want you. So the answer to your question is, anytime, and I don't care if it's a small, menial job,
I agree.
you have to dress the part if you really are interested in getting that.
Yes.
And I know today's people, I'll say it that way, young and sometimes older, they're a little bit more laid back because that's the way the times is. You know, we're more casual now. We don't even dress up to go out to dinner anymore.
I know.
So sometimes they think, well, it's okay as long as I got on a shirt and a pair of pants or slacks, you know, it's okay. But when you're looking to get a job, they're looking at the whole package.
Yes, absolutely. The whole package.
The whole package, not just what you say, but how you present yourself, how you sit, how you look, the whole package.
I agree. And you know, we can relate this to someone who's looking for sponsorship to sponsor a show. And they're doing their diligent research and listening to that show and tuning into the live stream of that show to kind of check out the host and the format and the whole vibe. If by chance, if you're hosting a show and you're laid back and casual, you know, and not really having a tight brand for your own business, your own show, so to speak, then you may miss the boat on some potential sponsors, because they're looking at you as, hey, if I collaborate with you, then I am associated with your brand now. Now we're in a partnership, so to speak, and you know, this may not exactly work for me. So professionalism, it really does make a difference on the airwaves too, and with that being said, in reference to the airwaves and communicating with people, how have, you know, from your own journey, how has your communication skills been enhanced, you know, by being on the microphone and facilitating conversations with people? Because you told me not so long ago that you prefer to be in the background, so to speak. So how has that journey been for you in your growth with your communication skills?
I am a very, I won't say quiet because everybody says, not you, Brenda, but I'm trying to think, introvert. I'm an introvert.
Okay.
And so once I'm not in the face of the public, I'm a loner.
Okay.
For those who may not know what that meant. So I love being in the background. I love to help people, but I love being in the background. Well, it seems that the Lord is saying to me, even though you do like to be in the background, I'm pushing you out to the front because you have so much to offer.
Yes.
And so, like you asking me to be on this program today, which was exciting to me, but normally I would have said no. But I know that these are challenges that I need to face. And so my communication skills, you know, they're getting better. I was very good because in banking, being in a management, you had to be able to provide meetings for your staff. Sometimes, depending on how high you were, you had to go out and be a part of different events for the company.
Sure.
So that part I didn't have a problem with.
Okay.
It's just talking on the radio, maybe on a subject that you're not well known and well versed. That's one reason why you have to do your research. And then also being able to get the listeners to actually listen,
Yes.
to want to listen.
That's a craft. That's an art.
That's an art.
I agree.
Exactly. Because when you're having a meeting and you say, okay, staff, we're getting ready to start our meeting, everybody has to stop because you're the boss.
Right.
You know, but when you're trying to draw somebody's attention with a subject, then you have to have that ability. So, one, you do have to be professional. Two, you have to, in my case, I'm from New York and we talk fast. So I slow it down when I get on the air because I know that I can be very fast.
Okay.
I also concentrate on pronouncing my words correctly.
Yes.
Because when we're in the world, we use a lot of slang
Yes, we do.
all the time.
All the time.
And so you're on air now, and you don't want to do those things. Also, proper language and keeping out the ums and the
Yes.
souls, like I
Yes.
just said, soul. Those type of things, you have to be aware of them.
I agree.
Because if you're a professional speaker and someone is listening to you and you say those ums more than 3 times, now they're paying attention to how many ums you're going to
Yes,
say
exactly.
rather than what you're actually saying.
Right. I agree.
So it has definitely increased my communication skills to the point where I've been requested to do a lot of things. We have a conference, I say we because I'm a part of it now, that's coming up in September.
Okay.
And at first I was going to play the part and be the speaker.
Okay.
Okay. But I'm still in the background.
Uh-huh.
And so the more I thought about it, the more I realized I'm in the background, And so I called and I said, I really don't want to do that. I want to back down, because I want your conference to be fantastic. And I don't want to be the cause of it not being. But Brenda Ward, you're on the radio. Everybody knows you. What do you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, they know me. So she said, okay, if that's what you feel. I said, however, I could be the MC.
Oh,
I
fantastic.
said, because the MC is just reading off the program.
Sure.
And then you could do what you need to do, and I could be a fantastic MC. Because, yes, I have been on the radio, and yes, I am on the radio. So I would say in this question, know what you can do. And if that is not you, then make sure you have someone who represents you to be the right person. That's important too, especially if you're in a business and you want to get the point across, but that's not you. You're going to be nervous, you're going to be shaking, you may not say the words properly or whatever the case may be. So then you say, okay, but I know John, who works for me, has excellent dialect.
Yes.
And he could do this.
Yes.
And then approach him and say, John, this is what I would love for you to do. And you'll be surprised because most people are people who like to be out there.
Yes, I agree. Most people
Yes,
are.
yes.
I agree.
Give them that opportunity and they'll take it and run with it. But then there's a few who like to be in the background.
Right.
To
and
give
okay.
and to help. Yes. But they have to know that. And see, I know that. So when I said that, she was delighted. She said, okay, fantastic. As long as you're a part of this, I thought that you were stepping down and stepping out completely. I want you to be a part. I want you to be a part of this. And I said, well, that I can do.
You bring up a really good point in knowing your role. So, for example, let's just say that someone is interested in radio programming as a sponsor or hosting their own show. It doesn't necessarily have to be you, the business owner, that's doing this. It could be someone that's part of your team who has the marketing or communications or just the natural comfort level of interacting on the microphone or public speaking to the audience. We're just bringing this information to you as an option for you to explore and to for you to gain awareness, of what the options are, such as radio programming, to do some marketing and promotion of your brand and your product or service. So I'm so glad that you brought that up and knowing your role and what you're capable of and your comfort zone. That's really important. Now, how can, in reference to radio broadcasting, how can that have an impact on revenue, on sales for a business?
Well, like I said, radio is media.
Yes.
And I'll keep saying that because a lot of times a business will say, can the radio come out or can you do a live broadcast? Because they know it's media.
Right.
And organizations that have big events right here in Las Vegas, sometimes they'll call us and say, do you have anyone that can come out from the radio?
Absolutely.
And so you have to know that this is an avenue where you can make money.
Yes, you can.
So when you speak of revenue, you have several ways of doing it. Your own way where you're marketing, on your website, you're giving out information, you're having, say for instance, professional communications where people come to you. You may have sales, ongoing sales. So there's different ways of you marketing yourself, branding yourself, and getting extra revenue. But when you come to radio, although you're spending a little, you have the means of making a lot.
Yes, you do.
Because you have to know that the radio doesn't just go, say, right here in the middle of Las Vegas, say from Rainbow to Main Street.
Right.
Radio goes a long ways. And one of the things I did bring, and I want to show that because I know this is a webinar, I want to hold up this map. Now, I know you won't be able to see it very clear, but it does show a circle of the range of where radio goes.
Yes.
And then also what I did is, and you won't be able to see this clear, but you'll be able to see that there's a line. And right here is the zip codes
Oh, that's extensive.
And so it shows you the
Yes.
zip codes of where the radio is going. And when I pulled this out, I was surprised that we are picked up in Searchlight. Now,
Wow.
Searchlight is when you're going to California.
Yes, that's like way out
Yes,
there.
I was
Excellent.
surprised that I'm going. Now, not all of it. It depends on what side of the mountain is on. But parts of Searchlight, you're being advertised. It shows Henderson definitely, and then Blue Diamond area.
Oh,
So I was Mesquite.
Oh, that's out there.
Yes.
That's impressive.
So Mesquite is going like the other way, but I was just amazed when I pulled this up and I was going, well, that's something that the audience needs to know is that
Definitely.
radio covers a whole range. So now just think of people who are tuning in those words like Searchlight. Searchlight is a small place, so it's not really heavily populated. But say you have a product that they want and you have a website where they can order that.
Yes. That's
Now you got that revenue
Right.
coming in. So one of the ways of advertising is through media, and like I said, sponsoring maybe a show to get your feet wet.
yes.
And then as you see it growing, maybe you might want to do a 15-minute program based on your business
Right.
and
Yes.
and what you sell. We
Exactly.
offer that as well.
That's some great packages.
Yes, definitely. So there's great opportunity. And then say, for instance, you say, well, my voice is not really the voice that I want, but I know my product.
Good point.
So how do I do that? Well, we have built-in voiceovers
Yes, they do.
at the radio station that can
yes.
do your commercial for you and put the emphasis on what you want to put on there to gain that revenue, and music in the background to let them know the urgency
Yes.
of getting that particular item that day.
Right.
There's so many different opportunities. But yes, I believe that you can gain a little bit more revenue just by being on the air because people will hear it.
Yes.
Now, I will say that consumers buy as they need. So depending on your
Right,
product,
right.
they may hear the commercial 25 times and don't buy.
Yes.
But then that 26th time, it may be, you know what, I really need that. I don't know why I keep putting it off. Let me go on the website and order this. So this is what we look at. You don't expect to come on and say, do your commercial 5 times, and now the phone is ringing off the hook. I do want to say that because some people
Yes.
do.
Thank you for that. Yes,
They
for
come on
saying
the
that.
air and they think,
Right.
okay, well, I've been on the air for a month and I haven't gotten one sale.
It takes more than it's a process.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
In building your customer base.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly. But there is, and it would be an increase in revenue once they start hearing and once people start buying.
Yes.
And if it's a product that they really need, they will buy. Definitely, they will buy.
And so with that, how can in addition to the revenue and the sales, how can someone then become a resource in the community, like a go-to, like for example, through your shows, if someone wants a platform and if they are an author, then they know they can go to you as a self-published author, you providing the service of publishing. They can go to you and also be a go-to for a go-to resource in the community for X, Y, and Z, which is about their book. Maybe it's about nutrition, maybe it's about fitness, so on and so forth. So if a person invests enough time into the content and into being consistent on the air as a sponsor or as a radio show host, then how can they actually become a resource in the community as a result of that? Do you, because that's how I see you and with your show and how it's evolved. You're like a go-to in the community now, and I think that's a great thing.
Well, like you said, depending on their business or their product or their invention.
Yes.
I mean, there's so many different things that's out there. And the small person, when I say that, I mean the man that no one knows about with this wonderful book or this great invention. They need some form of getting their information out. Now, once they started doing that, like say for instance they did their own 15-minute show, or they say, no, my products, I got several different products all in one package, so I need more time. fine.
Uh-huh.
Then the listeners, and like I said, there's quite a few listeners, not just
Yes.
listening on the radio, but then we always have our internet base as well.
Right.
You can be heard on KKVV.com, which is worldwide. That's what that
Yes.
www stands for. So now you have a means of really getting that information out there, not just on local radio, but also on the World Wide Web. So as they continue to grow and customers start knowing about what they have to offer,
Yes.
then they're giving their time. That's when their volunteer service and their giving of their time comes in.
Yes.
That's how they become known in the community. So-and-so is going to be at this event, and they're going to be marketing their products. They will have time to speak with you if you're interested.
Yes.
Things like that.
Right.
Different events. We talk about events. We have a community calendar.
Uh-huh.
And so 3 times a day, we're telling you what's going on in the community. This gives you an opportunity to be part of that.
Right.
Sometimes they have programs where they need vendors. You have a business.
Yes.
Get that vendor table and be there,
Yes.
because that information is going to be going out. And then you notice when you get something and you like it, what do? You tell someone else.
Yes, you do. Word of mouth is
Yes,
very powerful.
exactly,
Yes.
exactly. So that's how you become known in the community, by being part of the community. So you
Exactly.
start out with trying to put yourself out there, and then once you do, then you open up that door for the community to come in and say, well, I have this going on, and I would love you to bring your products and yourself to this event,
Yes.
and be available to do that.
I agree. And it's really interesting when you see how a business or a person progresses over time and giving more of their time to the community. And then when the community sees that, then people are more likely to give you their dime, their hard-earned dime, to purchase your product or services, because now it's mutually beneficial and everyone is supporting each other.
Yes.
So this has been an amazing conversation with you, and I was just wondering, are there any like pearls of wisdom or like key points that you'd like to share with our audience in closing?
Well, as I probably said several times, think of radio as media.
Yes.
Okay, so when you think of news, you think of media. Think of radio as media. And if you're in the media, that means somebody is hearing you.
Yes. Yes.
And if you stream live for some reason, like some of my programs are streamed live and some of them aren't. But if you're streaming live, if you're doing Facebook Live while you're on the radio, you're giving more forms of getting that out. As a matter of fact, don't they call that social media?
Yes.
So what we're saying to everyone who is listening to this radio programming 101, and again, I'm delighted to be a part of it, think of us as media, and don't be afraid to take that step. Make that phone call.
Right.
Especially people at our station, because I'm one of them. I'm going to walk you through the whole process.
And she does. Wonderful. It's wonderful. Yes.
So let me walk you through the process. Contact me
Yes.
so I can help you. Now, is it okay to give out the telephone number or the website?
Oh, sure, please, absolutely. And in addition to the station's contact information, could you go into a little bit more detail about the different packages and options that are available if someone wants to advertise or even want a show?
We would love to have you come to our studio and check us out. As a matter of fact, we're having an open house in October on the 14th, so you're more than welcome to come. That would be October 14th from 11 to 3 o'clock. We're having giveaways, and we want you to see what radio is about. You'll have the opportunity to come in and check out the studio and see how radio works. The telephone number there is area code 702-731-5588. That's 702-731-5588. And so please call and ask for me or Michelle, and we will be happy to assist you. We can tell you what we have available because, of course, radio is 24 hours a day,
Right.
7 days a week.
Yes.
And so if you want the 12 o'clock slot, well, I can tell you right now, depending on the day, that 12 o'clock slot is probably already sold.
Sure.
So we can tell you what we have available. We have a, like I said, 15-minute package.
And I think that's great.
Yes,
Yes.
for beginners
Yes.
who, don't really have the money in their budget.
Uh-huh.
Our contract is 13 weeks, and then after 13 weeks
That's
is
great.
week to week to week to week. But you're actually locked in for the 13 weeks.
Sure.
The dollar amount is not that expensive, but
It's
I won't
not.
say it over the webinar.
Of course, sure.
But the packages are very well put together. We have a 26-minute package, and it's really 30, but we have an open and a close. In other words, my show, I start off with saying, hello, welcome to Open Book Radio, and then I tell you what Open Book Radio is about. That's my open. When I close, I say, thank you for tuning in to Open Book Radio. Please tune in next week, and I give the time, so that's a close. So we have to factor that in there.
Right.
And so that's why it comes out to be 26 minutes. Plus, we have to get you off the air and get the next person on the air, so we have to have time for that.
Yes.
Just in case people say, well, why is it 26 minutes? So we also have a 56-minute show, which is an hour, basically. So you can purchase any one of those three.
I think
They're
it's great.
weekly. They're not every day. You can purchase every day, but that means you got a pretty good budget and your business is pretty good and you just want to get more of your business information out there. But most of the time when they sign up, it's just once a week.
Sure.
So that's how it starts off. And then as you start getting clients and more listeners and more sales, then you always can increase. I've had shows go from 26 minutes to an hour.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
That is.
Matter of fact, today is Monday. We have a new show that's starting. He did 26 minutes for this Monday and next Monday. The following month, he wants to start with an hour already.
Wow.
Already.
Fantastic.
Because he says the things that I have to say and teach, it's going to take more than that. And he does herbs.
Oh.
So,
wonderful.
Yeah, so he's teaching you about
Wonderful.
herbs, what to take, what not to take, to get away from the regular medication
Yes.
that, sometimes affects you in the wrong way.
Sure.
So that's what we do there at KKVV. We're on 1060 on your dial. We are working on getting a translator so that we can go back to FM.
Oh, excellent.
We were FM at one time.
Uh-huh.
But we wanted to improve the AM, and so we sold that, but now we're back to getting that going, so that will happen pretty soon. But everybody knows us.
Yes.
Everybody has heard of KKVV 1060 radio, and so it is AM. Tune into AM once in a while and just listen to our programming and see if it's something that you would like to invest your business or, your new invention, your special event that's coming up, or any other subject. You may want to come on the air and teach.
Right.
Exactly.
It's very versatile.
Yes, it
the
is.
airwaves.
It is.
Very versatile.
And we definitely enjoy business basics. We
Thank
like the
you.
title. We like what you're teaching, to the point where we even bonus you. And listeners, once you purchase your program, sometimes we bonus you. That's where I come
That's
in.
wonderful.
And I like, giving little trinkets to our customers.
We
And so
appreciate that.
we bonus the program. So just think, you would be getting your program played one more time free of charge.
And that's fantastic.
Yes.
That is.
So that's helping the community.
Yeah.
That's the community involvement. That's where we give back to the community. So please contact us. Even if it's just questions, you can send us an email at KKVV. That's Kenny, Victor.com. Oh, that's our website. And then our email is kkvbradio@hotmail.com. So it's still Kenny, Victor, radio@hotmail.com. Just send me a message and I will respond, and maybe we can get you on as sponsoring a show
Right.
or having your own, purchasing your own
Yes.
advertisement.
Yes.
We have voiceovers that will take the opportunity to make your advertisement delightful.
Yes.
Or if you decide to get a show. In all those categories, we would love for you to join our group.
Definitely. And what's the station's phone number to contact you? by
It's
phone?
area code 702-731-5588. 702-731-5588. We would love to talk to you.
And what time and day are your shows airing?
I have a show on Saturday at 2
Uh-huh.
o'clock, and sometimes it's me. Sometimes I have a pastor and his wife that does the show.
Yes.
So it all depends. This Saturday I will be on live, and I will be interviewing someone who did a book.
Oh, wonderful.
He's also having a book signing and a play, all attached.
Oh,
So we will be
That's
talking
fun.
about that, yes. And then on Thursday evenings, I have a youth show. It's called Forgiven,
yes.
and I talk to the young people. There I have Facebook Live. I have 4 to 5 people in the studio because they love coming
Yes,
down
yes.
and talking to the young people.
Mhm.
We need to start paying attention to our next generation.
Absolutely.
They need help, and we're here to give it. Again, radio is media.
And yes, radio is media, and it can definitely influence the community. So this has been so wonderful. Thank you so much, Brenda. And thank you so much for tuning in to this live stream broadcast. I'm Kathleen Taylor with the Nevada Women's Business Center. If you have any questions, please give us a call at area code 702-734-3555 or check us out online at www.nevadawbc.com. And again, thank you so much, Ms. Brenda Ward of KKVV radio station, also the owner of self-publishing business for those of you that are seeking to publish your literary creations by audiobook or hard copy, ebook. Ms. Brenda Ward, she is stellar in that particular industry. Please contact her. And if you have any questions, please give us a call at the Nevada Women's Business Center. And thanks so much for tuning in. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much. This was great.